Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Nancy Joseph, aka The Dynamic Doc. Welcome back to my channel. So I hope everyone is remaining safe amid this COVID-19 pandemic. Make sure that you are practicing good hand hygiene and practicing social distancing and taking heed to all of the recommendations that have been put forth during this trying time. Please make sure to stay healthy and stay safe. So we're going to pick up where we left off in the last video. So this video, I'm going to be focusing on the end of fourth year of medical school and transitioning into residency and talking about intern year. So picking up where we left off in the last video, finishing now fourth year. And so now a couple of things, we're right after the match, so a few things to keep in mind. And I'll go in chronological order how things usually happen. Now, usually, you finish matching. Yay, we're excited. Usually soon after you match, you get an email from the program coordinator to tell you all the things that you need. Usually there's paperwork involved. Usually there are certain things like the national provider identifier. So that's a number that's going to kind of stay with you throughout your career. So you need that number when you do prescriptions. And then oftentimes you need a training license. So your program coordinator will let you know what information he or she needs in order to get all of that taken care of. So you want to make sure you stay on top of your emails. You want to make sure that you provide the information as soon as you can when they ask for it so that everything can be ready and good to go whenever you start residency. So that's that. So that's the paperwork. Another thing that's important is finances. So, as you may have imagined, as you can presume, you'll be done with medical school way before your first day of residency. Now, usually the first day of residency is July 1st. I say usually because there's usually an orientation period, which I'll get into a little bit more later. Now, usually when you end medical school, so does your financial aid. Medical school ends, and therefore so does your financial aid. But there's a time period in which, you're not in residency yet, but you're done with medical school. But though medical school ended, your bills have not. So you want to make sure that you make financial provisions to be okay during that time period. Because not only do you still have bills, you have new ones that are going to be coming up too. So, hey, you match, now you know where you're going to go. So now you have to do apartment shopping. So with most apartments, you have to put a deposit down. So you got to have money for that. And depending on where you're moving, you may need to put first and or last month's rent. So you want to have money for that. In addition to all of that, the moving expenses, whether you're going to do a U-Haul or one of those moving cubes or called the U-Box, depending on which company that you're using, or reload cubes, but all of that costs money. So you want to be able to, financially, you want to be able to handle that. Also, you got to go look at these apartments. So you want to be able to at least afford, some travels to travel to the location where you're going to be in residency to take a look at apartments so that you don't have to be forced to kind of make a decision sight unseen. And so all of that costs money. So you want to have that in mind. If you're someone who is a fourth year medical school student right now, just finished, and you're in that, time period, this current time is a little bit different because of, the COVID pandemic. You'll have to kind of make the best decision that you can. But in general, you would have, made the appropriate plans to take a look at your housing. Another thing you can do is if you're moving to a location that you have maybe friends there or you have family there, they can kind of be your eyes and ears. And maybe you can even, FaceTime them or get on video with them as they look to apartments for you. And they can kind of be your eyes and ears. That way you can save money on that. So that's, getting your finances in order. We talked about paperwork, doing the housing. And so, of course, you want to have a good plan to pack all your things and move in a timely fashion, because usually you have to get there a couple of weeks early for orientation. Now, usually orientation can be, my orientation was at least a week, probably even about 2 weeks. And you want to get there at least a couple of days before orientation, because you want to at least get settled at least a little bit before you jump into residency rotation. So with that, we'll get into a little bit about what usually residency rotation entails. So during that time, you get acclimated to the hospital in which you'll be working. So one of the integral parts of that is the electronic medical record. So during that time, you'll get EMR training. You'll also get more of an in-depth view of where you'll be rotating. Especially if there's multiple hospitals involved. You'll get your schedule, which is very important. And then also you'll meet your chief residents. Of course, you'll get reintroduced to your program director. And of course, you'll meet your co-first years, your co-interns. And so now you get to see everyone who's matched with you, who's going to be in your intern class. And those people are going to be a great resource to help you through this transition time. So intern year, transitioning from 4th year of medical school to intern year residency, it is a big transition. And like any other big transition, it can be a challenging time. So you want to make sure that you know your resources, you keep them in mind, you have, your coping mechanisms, you have, the things that you've learned throughout, your other challenging times that can keep you grounded. You want to make sure you keep them in mind, because you're going to need those to help you have a smooth transition and just, a good journey throughout residency. So, your chief residents are a good resource, and also the second years. Now, you're an intern, you're first year resident, you're all excited, but those second year residents just went through this big transition that you're going through now. So use them. They're great resources. And also, your co-residents are going through things with you. You can always lean on them. A lot of times there's like chats, WhatsApp groups that, people form with their intern class. And, all of those are resources that you can just, express whatever you're feeling, and they're just there to help. So, a lot of times during that time, you'll learn about benefits that are provided. Like, sometimes there's meal, the cards, or like money that are put in your card for, times when you're on call. So they'll give you all the details and information about that. Also, you'll get your new ID that'll say, Dr. such and such on there. You'll get your new shiny white coat, your long white coat. So it's really an exciting time. But you want to make sure to take that time. You want to be present. Take the time to be proud of yourself. Ending medical school, you would have gone through graduation, which is also a monumental time, a great milestone. Take that time to be proud of yourself, celebrate with your family and friends, and, just be proud of yourself and take heed to that really important time. And then, now you're a doctor, and, just take the time to enjoy it. It'll be challenging, but take the time to enjoy that and live in that present time. Another very important thing that usually happens in your first year of residency is step 3, or complex 3 if you're a DO. So, you want to keep those study skills or things that you learned about yourself and how you best study. And back in step 1 and step 2, you want to keep that in mind, because you're going to need that and then some for step 3. Because unlike maybe what you were able to get, like the time off you're able to get step 1 and step 2, you're likely not going to be able to get an entire time off for step 3. So, unlike step 1 and step 2, you could maybe take some time off over your rotations. You usually aren't able to do that for step 3. So, you'll have to take a look at your schedule that your chief residents usually provide you. And that's when you figure out, based on the rotations and when you're on certain rotations, when it'd be a good time to take step 3, because you want to take it during a time when you're kind of like in a more of a low-key rotation, because you're going to need to study for that. And so, That would be step 3, which I will be talking about in a later video. So stay tuned for the next video where I'll get into some more details about step 3 and maybe some good study suggestions and kind of how to use your time wisely, because you'll be busy as a resident during that time. So stay tuned for my next video. So stay tuned for more of Dynamic Doc Adventures. And in the meantime, go ahead and check out my last video if you haven't had a chance to do so. I'll put the link down below. And also go ahead and check out my previous videos. And please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video. Be blessed and stay safe. Peace.